Well, resilience comes from community, a community of people and a broader community of life. So the more separated that somebody is, and the more disconnected from the beings around them, then the more fragile that they will be.
In the fragile mountains, where we have very heavy monsoons, to not have forests, to destroy the forests, means to invite landslides, to invite floods, to invite droughts and disasters. And, these days we put all of that in the box of climate change. But you can have a heavy rain, but if you have a forested catchment, it will not cause a landslide. It's when you have deforested the land, climate damage with the biosphere damage creates the kind of disasters we are seeing. The indigenous people recognize that the earth is living, live with a living earth and generate their livelihoods and their cultures.
The way that we in our traditions are connected to the place that we're from is that we know that everything that is in place on these lands is knowledge. It's not just that they're there, it's that they are knowledge, and that knowledge is given by them about the specific place that we're in. And that's a real way to think about what Indigenous means and why the different languages, why the different customs, and why the different cultures that are required by those living things that are there, and how they provide their gifts and their bounty to us. Our knowledge is infused in our traditions, in our ceremonies, in our songs, in our dances, in all the things that we do and that we know as Indigenous people from a specific place.
For the Indigenous First Peoples of these lands, the truth is that we've always had a direction. Our societies here have always been governed by elders and matriarchs. And that's something that we need today desperately. The voice of the life giver. One that understands their voice is the most important voice of their sacred mother, the mother that very birthed them, and the sacredness of every being.
80% of the biodiversity today is in the lands where the Indigenous people are. That's where we need to turn to see how to heal the earth, how to regenerate her. There is no separation between the health of the planet and our health. And that's why healing the earth is healing ourselves, both individually as human beings, but collectively as the human species.
I think we're at a turning point because so many things are happening, and I think everyone can recognize now that it's absolutely necessary to restore the life support systems on the planet. We simply have too much knowledge to allow for the continuation of unsustainable, irrational, greedy, and ignorant actions that are causing massive, massive changes to the earth.
And Gandhi had reminded us so powerfully, the earth has enough for everyone's needs, but not for a few people's greeds. And that's why, if to meet our needs, we must take care of the earth, and we must ensure that the earth can be taken care of by all for meeting the needs of all. That, to me, is the healing that we need to do.
There's extreme danger, but there's also great opportunity. So I would prefer to focus on the opportunity. We can see that there's fun and excitement in seeing that the hydrological cycle can be restored, or that biodiversity can increase. It doesn't have to decrease continuously. And it's possible to grow fertile organic soils and to have and eat really nutritious and healthy foods. And that there's tremendous abundance on the earth. This is not a place of scarcity. This is a planet which is filled with beauty and joy and symbiosis.
What I have learned over these 50 years is ordinary people who care are a more powerful force than a small number who want to destroy the earth. What I have learned is the power of people together is an invincible power. And what I have learned is love will always be stronger than the destructive tendencies.
All life is in symbiotic relationship with all other life.
I embrace the root. I embrace the root that holds me to Mother Earth, that holds me unseparated, fully unseparated with every single being. I hold that root and I nurture it. You can feed that root, and we can bring that medicine forward and sit with ancient word, sit with ancient teachings of Mother Earth, sit with them, find them.
The substances in our bodies are the same substances that have been in other bodies. We are all an expression of all life since the beginning of time. It can't be any other way. This is why we have living organic soils. This is how all organisms are related to one another and have co-evolved and co-created an oxygenated atmosphere, a freshwater system, fertile soils, and amazing biodiversity.
Most people imagine that the only kind of agriculture you can have is industrial farming. They don't realize people have been farming for 10,000 years. The Australian Aboriginal people have farmed for 60,000 years and did not damage the land. And people like the colonizers defined harming the earth as progress, as being civilized. We've got to undo that.
It's really now this transition from the conventional industrial agriculture, land management, where we had predictability and people thought they knew, right? And now we're saying, how do we redesign much more intelligent, natural, ecological cycles and systems that are more resilient, adaptive, buffered to actually accommodate these extremes. So it's really quite a, yes, serious, very serious, but also quite exciting time, because we have this opportunity, if we can understand and bring these ideas together, to make that change.
For the last 30 years, I have been aware that it's possible to rehabilitate large-scale damaged ecosystems. And I've looked at systems all around the world. And I've seen and met and collaborated with people in all different continents who are able to restore hydrological function. So we don't have to look at a stream and then watch it shrivel up and dehydrate and dry out and say, well, that's done. There's nothing we can do. There's a lot that we can do, and we are required to do it. The functional ecosystems on the earth have got to be seen as the most valuable thing. And these are not just chemical components or a medium to stick a plant into. These are living systems that have been co-evolved and which are evolving still.
How do we understand biosystems? How do we look at the processes that govern them? How does nature operate in these environments? And what can we do to actually rebuild those natural processes and thereby resilient, buffered biosystems?
We're called to act in a way that can transform human society, restore the ecological function on a planetary scale, and re-regulate the climate.
At this point of healing the earth, we've got to undo the paradigms that propel us to harm the earth. We've got to rebuild commons and the community. We have to become Earth citizens again. That is our celebration now.